Hi, everyone, and welcome to Blame It On Marketing. This week, we are going to be talking about why your emails suck. She's marketing queen, email queen.
Yeah, I gave myself that title. I've been doing email now for 12 years.
Shall we start with your deepest, darkest marketing fuck up?
I sent an email out by accident, and then the whole company went into overdrive because there was thousands of emails, phone calls. People were like, I've tried this, it's not, that link doesn't work. Buying lists is a dangerous game.
Yeah, it's so many marketers are going to have heard that, Beth, and be like, yes, can I send this to my boss?
Go talk to Beth.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Blame It On Marketing with Emma and Ruta. And this week, we are going to be talking about why your emails suck. And we are joined by the awesome Beth, who we will let introduce herself.
I'm Beth O'Malley. I've been doing email now for 12 years. So little old May, started as a little apprentice, and started my business 2 years ago, going into businesses and pretty much tearing apart their email strategies and helping them rebuild them so they've got a better channel. I also love a bit of CRM as well. So I've been doing that for a little long time, but there's so many issues in email. So I can't wait to dig into those with you guys.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. We haven't done a email specific episode, and given how many people say that email's dead, we need to talk about it. So, but before we get into that, shall we start with your deepest, darkest marketing fuck up that you want to confess to us?
Of course. I mean, there's quite a few, but I was thinking about this the other day, actually. The one thing, in mind, my client literally did the same thing and called me up yesterday, and probably back in 2017, I sent an email out by accident. I mean, I meant to schedule it. It went to the whole, I think it was 250 subscribers. To something that hadn't launched yet, and then the whole company went into overdrive because there was thousands of emails, phone calls. People were like, I've tried this, it's not, that link doesn't work. I caused a storm, and obviously at the time, I can't think how old I was then. I was still I was quite senior at the time, but it was one of those learning curves of oh well, we're not saving lives, nothing really bad's happened, but I think I must have cost the organization money because everybody was on, every single team was on customer service, marketing, sales, everyone. So that was my biggest fuck up.
Do you know what? You can only do it really well if you fucked it up a lot along the way. That's what I think.
100%.
Totally.
I agree.
So on to our topic, email marketing. Why do you think email marketing, because when you look on LinkedIn, it gets kind of a bad rap, doesn't it? It's like people are constantly bagging it out and slagging off each other's emails and all that kind of stuff. So why do you think it's so painful for marketers and maybe even especially in B2B? Because I feel like that's where most of the drama happens.
Definitely. I think there's so much misinformation out there about email. You've got email agencies just putting together image only emails and being like, we generate millions of revenue for our client, this is how you do it. Then you've got somebody like me saying completely different things, and then you've got brands. I think there's just in B2C for a second, there's a copy and paste approach. It's we've just seen this big brand do it must work. But then everybody just copies and pastes and doesn't question it. I think that's a huge problem. No one questions it. And actually, since 2004, so in 2004, I was not doing marketing, but back then, that's when segmentation became a thing. So it was personalization and sending out nice emails. And we have not really moved since then. And when you look at an email from 2020, 2004 to now, particularly for some brands, it's not really changed. So there's a huge problem with that. I also think social media is partly to blame, and shiny object syndrome. You've got all these new channels, all these things, and email just kind of got left on the back burner for a lot of businesses where they haven't evolved. So they're still using these 2004 strategies that are it's awful. They're copying other brands. It must work because, Nike do that or whatever. So they just copy it. And then B2B, I think they think that it doesn't work for them, so they just don't try it. Or I think their idea of email marketing is, let's buy a list of our key decision makers, one of those lists that everybody's got, and you pay money for it, and you think you're rich because you've got all these email addresses of your ideal client, which is just, again, not true. And let's send them some emails because they must care. If they see this, they must want to engage with us. And then that's their idea of email. So I think there's just so much poor mindsets, poor approaches, copy and paste, and no one's really stuck out in the industry and been like, well, no, this is actually how you can do evolved email. This is actually what it looks like today, because there's just a lot of rubbish out there. And I'm really trying to be that person to try and break through all that rubbish noise, essentially.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions, especially in B2B, when it comes to email? Because you see a lot of these, like, and I've commented on them, and I stand by what I said, but you might have a different opinion, where it's like, here's how to do cold emailing. Set up 360 alternative domains. Start warming them up 6 months
just threw up in
beforehand.
my mouth.
Get a list off of Apollo and da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, if you're having to do this for email, something went wrong.
Yeah. I take the approach with my clients as, if you're going to do that, let me try and show you the safer way to do it. And I'm not a preacher, I'm not a cold emailer, so I do not offer cold emailing as a service. What I will do is I have a couple of clients where they're going to go do it regardless. They're going to pay for these lists, because I hear a lot, my business was built on this years ago. It used to work years ago. And I'm like, yeah, we're not years ago. Like we're 2025. Like it's not working. So I completely agree. I think there's fundamentally an issue if you are burning through domains and just buying lists and just literally like hammering people, and then you'll get a few replies. So you think, oh great, okay, the more I send, the more replies, and then you get in this vicious cycle. And honestly, I've seen some really just awful cases of this, where like businesses are actually losing so much money because they rely so much on these like lists. So I totally agree. I think cold email is, you can do it, but it takes so much more time. Why do you think these lists don't work? If everybody's got access to these Apollo leads, what do you think's happening?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a real, I'm like, if you're going to do it, let me at least help you do it a bit more safely, a bit more ethically, if you can listen to that. If not, I don't want to get involved, because I just think buying lists is a dangerous game.
Yeah, it's like that mentality, isn't it, that people have about lead generation, where it's like, if I pour X number of leads in the top, it's going to shake out at this number of customers, but your conversion rate is probably shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, you've had to pour thousands and thousands of names from those crappy Apollo lists. Sorry, Apollo.
100%. I know, they're getting a lot of hate.
I mean, it's the combination, right? It's not the Apollo list that's the problem. It's the combination of the terrible emails and the just slap, like, it's the equivalent of the LinkedIn pitch slap, isn't it? It's like pitch slapping people with your product. I jokingly commented on your post the other day, Beth, saying, can I please attach a brochure? And the emails just be about your product, please. And it's like, it's so that, isn't it?
It's frustrating. And it's also funny, because I think a lot of the mindsets I see this in are kind of like more leaders in email, like not even in email, just in businesses. They feel, for some reason, if they've got somebody's email address, they feel like it's their golden ticket. They go, oh yeah, like, we have got a massive database, we have got all this data. And then I'm like, okay, so what, you're going to email them all, so do you think they're all going to see it? For one, they don't even know about deliverability, so they're just like, well, they'll send an email out and everybody will see it. And then I'm like, two, do you really think they care what you're saying? Like, do you really think they care? And then they're like, well, they must, because this will help them. And I'm like, okay, get out the way, let marketing do their thing. And then it's like, three, do you really want to be that brand or that business that puts yourself in a place that isn't welcomed or expected? I think there's definitely a way to do it, to acknowledge that I'm here in your inbox, I'm in your space. I know you don't know me, but I'm really trying to help businesses with this. But people don't want to do that. They're like, I can help you. You want this. So anyway, but yeah, it's an dangerous game.
I feel like so many marketers are going to have heard that, Beth, and be like, yes, can I send this to my boss?
Honestly, I have arguments. I get paid to argue with CEOs and leadership teams. I do love my job. I love what I do, but ultimately people do just bring me in, marketers, to be like, can you just reiterate what I've been saying for 2 years, please? And somehow, because they're paying somebody external, they're like, okay, well, we'll take it on board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I think if anyone's listening to this, they're going to buy a list, or their manager's like, we're going to buy a list, just stop. Get some help.
And also for big, like, cold outreach agencies approaching you, and it's like, we'll get you all the demos and la 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 la, and they're charging like 15 grand a month or something, that it probably won't work. Like, test your own cold outreach first. There's nothing magical they're going to do that is beyond your marketing team's probably capability. So if you've tried cold email in like the most honest and wholesome way and it still doesn't work, they're probably not going to deliver anything that's magical.
100%. They just do it on a wilder scale. They literally will just, oh, it's awful. It's awful. I've seen those setups, but I agree. 100%. That's a really good way to put it.
No. Do you think email, Beth, is like a bit of an afterthought for a lot of marketers? Because I feel like that's part of the problem here. You know, like all jokes aside, you know, obviously the senior leaders are the naughty ones who do the like, oh, we need to just send a list email to everybody because it's going to be fine. But also, and I know this from having, I think Ruta, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but when we worked together, I feel like sometimes email was the thing that kept sipping down the list for us because we were like, oh, we know we need to do it. I like to think we did, when we did do emails, we wrote good emails like, hello, did we sauna together? Did we sauna together? Subject line.
Yeah.
But it was something that just kept falling down the priority list in terms of like setting up decent nurtures.
We used it as a communication channel. We didn't use it as a like promotion or like lead channel, if that makes sense. I think that's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
So when there was something to be said, we would use it, and then otherwise we'd just be like, nope, just let them be.
Yeah, I think there's a few nuances to that. I think one, I don't think marketers don't fully understand how to use email, or like it's that kind of like if I throw to a general marketer like, scrap what you're doing, come up with a whole new plan. They more often than not, like, I don't know, this was handed down to me. This was handed down. So I work a lot with marketing teams, and a majority of the time they have never ever changed what somebody else, their old, predecessor has given, then they gave to them. And it's this feeling of, yes, it becomes an afterthought. And I think it becomes a quick job. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just send an email, or just hang on, I'll just write that now, done. Okay, bish bash bosh, pull the list, and it goes. And I think it's just become this channel that people take for granted, because I do genuinely think a lot of businesses, it's gonna become completely obsolete for them, and they're not going to know because they don't do enough digging into the stats, but they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. No one's seeing it. Most of them go spam. No one cares. You might as well just stop bothering and wasting your effort there. But I think, afterthought for some businesses, or businesses that think they're kind of like a bit too proud for that. Oh, well, no, we can't get fast sales off that. We're not going to use it. But I think there's a real lack of education as well. So something I found in the industry, it's like there's no proper training, and then when there is, it's very, very different. There's a lot of people throw around the words best practice. I have in the past. I definitely have. Then you're like, hey, what is that? And I've come to the conclusion that there isn't like best practice. There's fundamental principles of email that you kind of do and don't do, and it's like common sense, most of them. But I think there's a lot of spiel out there, a lot of people saying a lot of stuff and not a lot of people explaining it. So it's just this copy and paste approach. It's been handed down. Marketers don't know how to do it. And then when you throw them in the deep end, like, how are you gonna achieve this with email? They're like, oh, I wouldn't know. Or they have really outdated tech. So of course it's an afterthought, because it's like, oh, we don't need to invest in email. When have you ever seen an email budget in a business?
Yeah,
it's very, very
that's
rare.
A great point, isn't it? Unless it's for lists, right? Like that's
unless it's for lists, or so I mean, doing what big businesses, somebody like Nando's, they have a whole CRM and email team, and they do have budget, but they don't necessarily. A lot of businesses would never say, okay, how can we invest in email in a way to like optimize, or strategy, or be able to measure email. Measuring email is the hardest thing to do. It's like, it's not opens, it's not clicks. Like, can you actually tell me what the impact was, how much revenue was impacted, what you actually got from it? And I honestly, there's so many businesses that are just like, what? I don't know. So it's just a huge bit of a mess.
So some things with email can be fairly technical, and some marketers just skip right by setting up their DMARCs and all of SPFs and all of that shit, which is a thing. But also some platforms aren't made for email marketing. So like, I know, Beth, you're a fan of HubSpot, but for me, HubSpot's not really an email marketing platform. If you look at what the features are, you can email, but you can also email 100,000 people one pop. And if you want to fuck your domain up right to Christmas, like, go for it. So yeah, I feel like you're so right. Like there's best practice, there's a technical bit, and then there's like platform specific stuff, which, you might just have HubSpot and you might not have any other options. So like, what do you do then? But so that's all the things that could go wrong. So you were talking about some of those fundamentals, and I assume those fundamentals are what leads you to seeing success with your clients. So what are they? Like, is there 5? Is there something? Can we have a little list?
So one of the things through my years of auditing, like I can't tell you how many emails I've audited and accounts and setups, is a lot of people focus on like copy, design, kind of like the last things in their journey on email and all the little things. And what I see the most successful strategies have is they have, first of all, have a strategy. Like, you know, everyone bangs around that word, but literally this is what email serves as a business for us when it comes to engagement or customer success or lead gen. And there's that really overarching strategy that everybody follows. So it's not just email marketing, it's like comms as a whole from that business. So they have a really successful, well built, well thought out strategy and a plan. They have the right systems in place. So you will always hit, I call it like the glass ceiling in email marketing. It will always hit a glass ceiling if you haven't got the right tech in place. Like the amount of times that like we want to do this flow and we want people to go down this route when they do this, this and this. And then you look at the tech setup and you're like, yeah, you've got a bespoke CRM that's been literally created for you by developers, where if you want the smallest change, you have to have that. And the integration is so limited with your email platform, that's never going to happen. So there's always, they hit this glass ceiling of like what they want to do. So you have to have the right systems. And then finally, you have to have the data. And I mean, data for me is like the biggest thing that underpins email marketing. And it's not just having like an opted-in list, it's collecting the right data at the right time so you can understand where people are in their journey, what their needs and wants are. So then you can send the right comm at the right time. So for me, when I see businesses just kind of like spraying lots of emails about products or services, I'm like, you have started with what you want to talk about. You look at any email plan in any business and it's like, we're going to talk about this on this day, then we're going to talk about that on that day. But it's never, let's start with the subscriber. Let's look at where they are, where they've came in, what they've interacted with that's made them become a subscriber, and what would be really valuable to send them and take them on a journey down. And no one does it really like that. There's only a few kind of B2C brands I think really struggle with this because it's very much like just get the sale. B2B have no idea where to start. So to make a successful email strategy, you need your 3 pillars. So your strategy, your data, and your systems. And then you need a subscriber focused strategy. So you've got to think, right, this person's here in their journey. How can we influence it? How can we get them to feel or make a decision or take them through based on where they are, not on what you've got on your email calendar that you want to talk about, basically. So there's a lot of big stuff before then you get to the little stuff. So I wouldn't even look at copy, right, until I've gone, have we got the right setup to achieve our strategy? Have we got the right data? Are we cleaning it, looking after it? Are we caring for it? Are we collecting the right stuff? Because I don't know about you, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but some guru like years ago, I don't know who it was, put out into the World Wide Web that the less data you collect on a form, the higher conversions on that form, which they might not be wrong, but they're like, right, you don't need to take all this off, just get first name, last name, email. That's how you get people through. And that's just ruined email because now you have a pot of loads of people you don't know anything about. You literally don't know anything about. And in B2B, collecting that right data is going to be the thing that makes it so successful, because it takes an invisible person that you don't really know anything about to a personified subscriber that you know so much about. So they're the big things. Get the big things right, and then you can work your way down and get the small things right, like copy and stuff like that.
And I assume that's all working together as well with like buyer personas and different stages of ICP and different stages of the journey. All of that kind of comes together to actually send a good email at some point.
100%. Your big things are obviously your pillars, and then I think I see so many businesses that don't even have personas, so I'm just like, but you can create subscriber personas, and as they move through the life cycle, how does that change? And then what are you going to talk to them about? How can you align your content? Because lots of people get stuck at that bit as well. They're like, oh well, I don't really know what they'd want at this stage. But if they've just downloaded a white paper, yeah, they're not going to want to have a chat with you, to be honest. They don't want to book a call. Like, let's look at what topics they're interested in. What does that mean that they're thinking about? And then you can start to create your content. So yeah, it's a whole job. Email is a whole person job, but it's just taken for granted massively. So it's easier just to carry on doing what you do, right? Like, than change it.
And it's so difficult when you're in a small company and you're a one-person marketer, or there's like maybe a couple of you and you haven't necessarily got the systems. Like, I'm thinking about some of the experiences I've had with clients over the years, and that inability to segment. And then I've got, we come in as a fractional CMO. And then what happens is you've got that founder kind of breathing down your neck saying, you need to send these emails out. We need emails. And I'm going, I don't know what to send this person because we've got a system here. And like you said, Beth, all I've got is a name, email address. I maybe have a company if I'm lucky, let alone like if I don't have a CRM that gives me industry information or anything else, I can't segment that person.
No.
I can't do anything with it. So I can't email them of anything other than very generic marketing content. And then on the flip side, we've got founders say, then you've got a marketing team crying out for a better system. And you've got a founder saying, no, there's absolutely no way that we can, like, what's the ROI going to be if you buy a HubSpot over something else? And you're like, this is it.
I always approach that question. I'm like, I always come back. I'm like, right, well, what's the cost of not doing it? Because I think it's really easy for them to see the cost of a new system. So I will always put together something using their data to say, well, this is the cost of if you don't do it. Like, this is the cost of the opportunity you're losing. Simple as, if you don't want that, then don't invest. But I think it's really hard to get investment for email, for systems, and there'll be a glass ceiling somewhere. It'll be your data that you're falling short on, it'll be your tech, it will be your strategy, and it will also probably be the skills, the time, the resource in-house as well. So keep it simple. Like, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to be like an Andos, or you don't need to be a big B2B agency that's got a whole team. It's just having that, like, how can we improve the data? How can we improve the system slightly with what we've got? And then how can we just know the audience? That's my literally key. It's just it's not even a secret. It's just know your audience. If you know them, you can talk to them about the right things at the right time.
One of my favorite things to do when I know that a company emails a lot of people is when you look at open rates, but you're like, oh, okay, whatever, like, they're fine. They're not that indicative anymore. It's complicated. But my favorite thing is to, especially in HubSpot, you can do like, has opened an email in the last blah, blah.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, we've got 100,000 people in our contact database and 80% of them haven't opened an email in the last 6 months, even though we've been sending them. And I'm like,
why are they in the database?
Yeah, just say goodbye now or do something very specific to get them to re-engage. But it's one of my favorite little things to look at.
People get upset. They're like, oh, they're not opening, and or it's like I always say, my rule is really like, I could probably go into a business's database and I'm already like, we could cut 20% of that. I haven't even seen it, but I'm kind of like, we could probably cut.
Yeah.
They don't want to cut it, and then it's like, got one client at the minute that they've just found out there's like a list of people that between their website and CRM that's got stuck in this middle that haven't been pushed into CRM from years ago. Oh, okay, so how can we get this into CRM and start emailing them? And I'm like, I'm off. I'm off, guys. Like, I thought we'd been through this. But I don't know what it is. I think the biggest thing is the mindset that we've talked about. It's this mindset of like, we have a group of people in our database, so it must be good, right? They must care, they must open, they must see it. But how many times do you actually open your emails, like, from brands? And
I'm savage. Unless I know you or I'm literally waiting for something. If I see an email in my inbox, delete. Like, I won't even open it. Oh, straight to bed.
This is your thing. Like, opens, just hands down, I will say it, like, just get rid. I would probably say group them with other stuff. Don't even bother. People, I think it's like, I did a big research piece with like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and 89% of them said they open to delete. So they just have a habit where they just open the email on like desktop or whatever, and they just like delete. And I'm like, you think open is a positive thing? It's not. It's really not. It's neutral, and it could mean a bad thing. It could be a good thing. But it's funny. I do that. I open my emails and I'm like, open, delete. I don't
even open them. I just mass select on my inbox now.
Are you a purger? Do you do like a purge and subscribe?
And also at the beginning of every year, like on January 1st, I'll inbox zero myself, even though I'm not anywhere near inbox zero. And I'm like, listen, if I haven't got back to you this long, it's never going to happen.
Do you know what I did? So this was quite a few years ago, because I've gone through a few email addresses, like personal email addresses over the years, because as you get older,
divorce,
you think to yourself, Fanny_Adams 182 at Hotmail. People are going to email that now. She needs to go for professional reasons. But what I did is I set up a forward on all my old inboxes to a shit inbox that I have never logged into ever. So all of my crap goes somewhere that I have never seen ever. I don't know. I never want to open that email inbox, because that is where all the crap goes. So now everything's gone there. I don't know.
I honestly love that. I think you're onto something. And I did similar. My email address got my personal one. It was called a subscription scam. So a bot on the internet got my email, signed me up to 100,000 things, and then I got all their emails. So I just switched everything to junk, and now I just pull out the ones
The
And I'm
ones
like,
that you
I think
actually.
everyone needs to operate like this, because junk clears after 30 days. Like, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, this is exactly it, right? Like, brands just don't seem to. And honestly, I spoke to a founder of a very successful B2C brand. I mean, like 7-figure brand, and he said, "Well, we just send more. Then we're now sending 3 a day. We just send more. The more we always send, the more we get." And I'm like, but there's something morally, for me, and ethically wrong with that. You are literally the cause of the issue that we have, which is oversaturated inboxes, where people are getting really sick of it and sick of businesses not sticking to their promise. He even said, even if they don't sign up on checkout and tick the tick box where it says opt me in, because under a legitimate interest they've purchased, we just opt them in anyway. And I'm like, it's
How many
mental.
subdomains are they getting through though? Like,
Well,
what's
these big companies,
They don't give a
unfortunately,
shit.
they do, some of them do have relationships with like Microsoft and Google, and they do get away with certain stuff.
bullshit?
And it's usually the big businesses that do, with the money.
Yeah, gossip right there. You should have kept that for the end. So we're all busy, we're all marketers. Lots of us are usually generalists, so we're doing a bit of everything. What would you say is, if we were to go away after listening to this today, what is the one thing you would do to help improve and kind of prioritize how you're delivering email to your subscribers?
So I did a little self-order exercise. So if you've just got a couple of hours, grab them and start to look at the bulk things, like systems. Do you know there's going to be some fundamental problems with your systems? Write down what they are. Data, again, write down what they are. You know, with data as well, it's like, not just have you got the right data, are you sending to people, like, do you clean it, are you sending to people that are just completely outdated? Have a look through that, have a look through your strategy if you've got a strategy. They're your first things, and start to audit and self-audit. I do like a nice exercise, which is like, put yourself in the subscriber's shoes. Like, take someone from your database that maybe signed up like a year ago, and take like a customer as well. So kind of have your core audience groups and actually go through their history of like what you've sent, what they've interacted with based on the amount of data that you've got. And just do like a bit of a drawing exercise. Like, you can put it on a whiteboard, put it on Miro, whatever, and be like, these are all the touch points, these are all the things we've sent in. And that alone in itself as an exercise will be really like revolutionary, because you'll be like, oh, okay, right, I see how we've gone a bit wrong here, or how we probably shouldn't have sent that then. And that is the best way then to start mapping out, if you haven't already got your customer journeys, map out like a subscriber journey. So understand all the other touch points as well, not just marketing email. I think this is where marketers get it like really wrong as well. They're not working with sales or service, because you'll often find that like a marketing team will just sit in silo and be like, we're sending our marketing emails out. And then, you know, poor Bob on the other side of the screen, he's just got off the phone to customer service. He's had a really tough time about it, and you've just asked him to buy again and given him a 10% off code. So it's like, do an audit of all the different things that person, that business could be externally communicating with that person. Do that first. That will itself unload a load of things. You'll be like, okay, I really see here, when we've got a new subscriber, we probably shouldn't really send them anything else apart from maybe this welcome journey. So then you can start to build exclusions, because as general marketers, we get really overwhelmed with, oh, we should have this flow, and we need to build this flow and this. So I say, don't think of all the things you need to do, think of all the things you want to stop doing. I think all the things that actually you would want to exclude somebody from based on the time of their journey that they are. So if you are a B2B business and you know that subscriber is actually now an active sales deal in the sales pipeline, what are you going to exclude them from? And build your email strategy around exclusions. And that, for me, as a general marketer, is just a quick win, because you're not thinking of like the million things you need to do and all the journeys. There already, you are taking away some of the crap basically that they don't need to get. So that would be like a quick thing that you can do. The other thing is like looking at your data, looking at your forms, all the data collection around the site. I believe marketing should own all data collection for every single business in the world, but that's just my opinion. Have a look. Are you actually collecting? Yeah, like, are you actually collecting data that is going to be able to give you enough to either personify that person or tell you where they are, what they're thinking about, what their needs are? And that's not just data that they're giving you, that's indirect data too. So, you know, if they've downloaded a piece of content on like how to improve email deliverability, it tells me you are interested in that topic. So then what kind of things can you talk to them about? But then if I also ask them what best describes your role, I'm an expert email marketer who's trying to learn about email deliverability, or I'm a general marketer, I've been given email, I know exactly what to target them about. So don't be afraid to add stuff in those forms that are going to get to know people. Like, what best describes you? What best describes why you're here? What best describes why you need why you need this piece of content? People don't mind filling it out. It's like, I don't know why people got this stick up their bums about not asking like minimal things. I'm like, no, if somebody wants something, you word it right, they'll tell you. So that's another quick win, and that will help you be able to like personalize your content basically in those first few emails. But yeah, I think for me, like general marketers, I work with a lot of them, and they usually are very time poor, and all the stuff they want to do with email. They've got great ideas, but they just can't do it because it's so much. So start trimming the fat, take out the things, do an exclusion strategy, self-audit, find your big blockers, and then your smaller ones, smaller improvements. And I think the last thing to touch on, and I will shut it up, is knowledge. Knowledge is power. There's so much out there, honestly, that there is. There's a free certification program that I've helped put together that literally anyone can literally access and learn about all the different things about email, just stuff that you need to know. So there is good information out there.
I love that idea of starting something from the point of trimming the fat and excluding stuff, because we so often go the other way where we're like, shove it all in, all in. Like, let's do everything. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, take it out. Like it's so easy. It's so easy. It's just like if somebody's had a call with customer service in the last 24 hours, get them out for the next campaign.
Yeah.
Just don't email them. If you know, it's so simple. And then suddenly I think people start to get it, because then they're like, all right, yeah, we're sending the right message at the right time and we're not causing like friction. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly all you've got to do with email. It's not about trying to do everything and set up all these flows. Just think about where people don't need to get emails. It's probably a good place to start.
Yeah, and then everyone likes you more, and they don't send you those. You know, it's that whole thing in businesses where you've sent an email campaign and then you get one person come back going, this really annoyed me, and everybody has a massive freak out, and you're like, well, we sent it to 6,000 people and it was only one person who said it was annoying.
Oh, I love it. I really want to start a new series where I like go into like head offices, be like, you just sent me this email, like I want to talk to someone about it, but I always email back. I'm like, I don't like those shoes and I've never viewed them on your website and I've never ever ordered men's shoes. Why are you sending them to me? And I'm not going to name the brand, but they're a very popular brand and they send me awful emails all the time.
I did a sassy email reply yesterday. It was from Buzzsprout. We love Buzzsprout. We use Buzzsprout for our poddy, but they were like, of the top 50 most successful podcasts in the world, only 37 is video. And I responded, I was like, that's 75%. Like, what do you mean only? And they're like, oh, well, you know, we wanted to say you don't have to use video. And I'm like, yeah, but it's disingenuous for you to say that video is not correlated to successful podcasts, because 75% of them post video. They're like, oh yeah, good luck with your podcast journey. I'm like, what?
Who writes these emails? I don't know.
Who said that was who signed that off and thought that was a good idea?
The logic, like 75% of the most successful podcasts use video. So yeah, just tell them don't use video. Duh, that's obviously the insight. Yeah. Anyway.
Mad.
Great email.
Yeah, I love an email reply.
Yeah, me too. I guess blacklisted.
I think that, again, just to say, Beth, that was great advice. Love that. So what if you are the poor marketer that is having your senior leader be like, just send more emails, just buy those shit lists? How would you go about having that conversation?
Oh, I love this. I just that's the time to hand in your notice. Get out. No, I'm joking. For me, this was a conversation I've had personally. So I've been in that position many a times. I've tried to fight it with, I've learned about this. I know about email. Listen to me. It didn't work. I've tried the approach of like, here's, if we do this, these could be the impacts. Doesn't really work. So I think that I found that works the best. A couple of things. So this first of all, one that I like to do, depending on how friendly this leader is, right, is I like to use a bit of an analogy. And there's loads of analogies that you can come up with and make them really fun and funky. But I'm very much like, okay, if they're asking to send another email to the same people, and it's like that constant push, I'm like, all right, fine. But if we were doing door-to-door selling, right, and we were selling our service, doesn't matter if it's relevant for door-to-door selling, it does not matter. Are you going to send I'm going to send the sales team out again to knock on those doors on the same day, the same week? Are we going to, even if they're not in, and what if they haven't been in for 6 months and they haven't answered the door after X amount of time, when we know the perfect people you keep saying the perfect people are inside that house, but we know that they're not answering the door? Are you going to send them that you're going to use their time, their effort to pay them to go and knock on those doors again? Are you going to risk annoying them again? And you keep like putting stuff through their letterbox that they might not give a shit about. So I like to use that analogy as the first one, because I usually go, I've not really thought about it like that, and I've not really thought that, you know, that they might be getting annoyed, but then they haven't told us. So then they'll come back and say, yeah, but they would just unsubscribe. They would just unsubscribe, right? Like if they didn't want our emails. But then, so I say to them, okay, so what do you do? So can we head into your inbox for a sec? Let's have a little look. So like, what do you do? Oh, I delete all my emails. I get these. I don't like these. Or I move them all into this folder. And then I'm like, the penny starts to drop. So I think if you can relate it to them, and I always say as well, like, let's just say you get an email from a brand that maybe you did really like at a time, or a business, or one that you've interacted with, and they kind of keep sending stuff to you that you're not interested in. What does it make you feel about that business? Well, I don't really think about it. I just delete the emails, and now I don't think about them. You're not thinking about them, are you? Are they going to be your first choice when, you know, you've got this issue and you know they can solve it? Well, like, no, because they don't send me anything helpful. It gets annoying. And then suddenly they are like, okay, I see your point, Beth. And I'm like, so you can use a bit of a storytelling thing like that, where it's like, tell me how you would feel if we are on the receiving end of that. And it seems so stupid, but it's like, you know, you got to put yourself in the person's shoes. Sometimes that works. It depends if they're a bit frosty. The best thing, right, that works is money. Money talks. Of course it does. And if you can work this out, this will be your best friend. So I think I mentioned cost of inaction before, but the cost of action. So the cost of us continuing our practices like this. Now, it's really hard to pull this data because you are having to like become a bit of a scientist and like pull hypotheses and back it up with data. So, you know, if you have got the budget, get an audit done and ask that specialist to be able to quantify it for you. If not, spend a bit of time and try and have a look at all that missed opportunity, what your average kind of leads are worth, average customers are worth, and try and put in place the cost of inaction. So every time we do this, you know, we're losing engagement. The more people that are like aren't seeing our emails, the more people we're not being able to obviously communicate with what we do with. Less sales. If you can quantify it and back some of your claims up with, you know, quite good data evidence. So it might be subscribes over time, unsubscribes coming. It could be that you can see your opens are dropping, your clicks, visits to the website from email, and you can start to build a bit of a picture of like, our list hasn't really grown in 3 years, but our engagement's dipping. And yeah, we're definitely seeing on our reports that email's not performing. If you can quantify it and put the money around that cost of action, they will listen to you, because I think sometimes leaders will only listen if you literally give them that and say, you send this email, it's going to cost us this, or we're going to potentially lose this as well.
Thank you. I love the storytelling aspect. Like, take them to their inbox and be like, what do you do when you get a random email? You know, probably not much. Yeah.
Look at your inbox. Like, do you like
Look
this?
at your spam. Look at how many people are trying to get in touch with you and you don't even see it in your inbox, let alone anything else.
It's bad. It's really bad. It's bad. But then they do start to listen because they go, oh yeah, I just delete those and I don't really care about them. So I'm like,
yeah. There you
go.
Uh-huh.
And what makes you think that people read our emails?
Because we're going to save them some time.
Oh, of course. Of course. That's what it is. Because everyone says that, don't they?
I think saving time is my least favorite B2B product benefit. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, or you know, can you handle 15 more clients a month? Because
no, thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I'd rather not.
No.
So, shall we wrap up with some marketing gossip? You shared a juicy one with us earlier, so I don't know if you've got anything to top that one.
I do. I don't know if you've seen it yourself. So this is a B2C technique. So it's related to email. It's been happening a lot lately. So there are emails floating around in the inbox that brands are faking order confirmations. So they are actually saying, oh, you like your order. And some of them have even gone as far to put a fake order number on there. Am I allowed to name drop, or am I going to get sued or something? I'm going to name drop.
Say it.
If they did it.
Boohoo.com. Disappointment, Boohoo. There was a couple of smaller like boutique-y ones that did it. I can't remember their names. And Odd Muse jumped on it, which I was really disappointed that they did that. And then quite a few of the other smaller brands thought, wacky technique, like let's do it. And for me, there are no trends in email. Like there's no trends. There's no trend that you could possibly do, because guess what? Like once one of them's tried it, it's in your whole inbox. And actually, like people are fuming. People are fuming about this, which you would be, right?
Yeah.
And I got one and I was like, has somebody stolen my card? Did it. And I was like, oh my God, I did not put an order through on Shein. Has somebody hacked into my Shein account? I haven't been on Shein for years. and I was just fuming. I thought, it's dodgy. For me, it's just like unethical. It's like, can you not think of anything else creative to get your customers in? Even if it's just distasteful and it's tacky and it's rubbish and no one likes it, and lots of people unsubscribe and complain, but people still doing it. So that's my goal.
Like, it's borderline phishing scam, isn't it? It's like, ugh. It's bad enough when I get one that says you've left something in your basket and I'm like, fuck off, I just tried to exercise some self-control.
Yeah, it's not that. I just wanted the promo code I know you're going to send me when I abandon my basket.
Exactly.
Yeah, you forgot something. No, I haven't, love. I didn't forget anything, honestly. So that's my bit of gossip, because it really infuriates me. And I think B2C are probably the worst culprits of them all in the inbox.
That's totally fair. I don't think I've received one like that, but I'm pretty sure my mum does, because she loves a little Tamu, and Tamu has just the dirtiest email, like,
oh my God,
ethics. I'm like, Mum, this isn't a real email. And she's like, yeah, but they said that.
Yeah, when like Dave from Head of Accounts has sent it to you, he's just shared he's accidentally forwarded you the promo. I'm just like, but it's funny how different ages interact with this, because my mum's, I like to sit and watch my mum go through her inbox, and she engages in such a different way than millennials and all the people kind of like younger than that. I'm just like, it's mad. So actually, it does get some sales, but you'll usually see it might be the older generation that are falling for those tricks. But I think we all have human spam filters anyway in our emails, don't we? So it's just like, if it's not going to get caught in spam, we'll catch it in our own spam filter. Delete, unsubscribe. I like to report spam a lot as well. So
absolutely.
But you're just sitting there in the evening
oh
reporting
God.
spam.
I'm a big text spam reporter. That's my thing. I don't think I spam email, but text, block and spam.
I mean, whole of the podcast for that, but that's got
Don't WhatsApp message me. Fucking weird shit.
It's a normal thing in Spain though. Like, so like your hairdresser will have a WhatsApp, like a professional WhatsApp. My dentist has a WhatsApp, like a professional one that they use to like schedule stuff. It's a thing in some countries.
I want to leave with one last note, like what you guys think about this. Brands, I'm not talking about mainly B2B here, but B2C, if there was a law that came in place where legitimate interest basically went away and people didn't opt in on that purchase, or they knew that their email, they weren't going to get spammed, only their transactional emails, do you think that most humans would probably opt out of that? And it probably just not choose to have their emails spammed to them or whatever, or sent. I genuinely do. Yeah. I think it's a good point. And I always say to people, if you're having to force people into it, or you're just emailing, then you had a problem.
I think the way that people buy has changed, especially Ruta and I we were on this lovely podcast called Stressed and Well Dressed with our friend Dahlia. And we were talking about that because we were talking about B2C purchasing and things that marketing are to blame for, purchases that you've made maybe over the years. And I think now millennials and Gen Z and, even younger, Gen Alpha, I see this as my partner's kids, they're consuming stuff on YouTube and TikTok, and that's how they're buying. They're not buying because they went to a website and you emailed them 100 times. It's just not how anyone buys anymore.
It's not, but it does work. The funny thing is, if you get it right, it does actually work. Like, it actually does. And it's funny because I think people think it's a straight line from email through to purchase, but that email might have started something in that process, and then they've gone to TikTok, then they've gone to that. So it's
got to be useful though. Like, it's got to be like we've been talking about, best practice email.
It's mental, the results you can get. Like, honestly, it is really mental when you start to target people with the right stuff and just become like a really helpful brand that sends the right, like, it has the highest ROI of all of the other channels. So it's not to be replaced, it's not to be slept on, but how people do it, it's not working.
Go talk to Beth. Her LinkedIn will be in the comments, not in the comments, in the podcast description. And also, Beth, if you can give us a link to that course that you created, we can put that in there as well. So I definitely want to go have a look at that, because I'm not by any means like an email pro. So thank you so much for being on. Lovely to chat to you as always.